Welcome everyone. We are going to kick things off with our episode of Instagram for Normal People this month. I am super excited. I have a special guest, Candice Carcioppolo, who is a marketing genius and brand expert. And I met Candice. I was actually introduced to someone referred me to her because I was looking to kind of revamp my like graphics, logo and brand and stuff like that. And so I worked with her to kind of give my brand a refresh. And she did like an absolutely like outstanding job, but she does much more than that. Candice, if you don't know her, she has so many job titles. She's has a real estate license. She has worked with Ryan Serhant as a brand strategist. She has a graphic design called the Elevate Design Studio, where she does work like that. She hosts a podcast, she's a speaker, and on and on. So I'm going to just ask Candice if you can introduce yourself, tell us like more about what you do and kind of how you ended up in this role.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing all the things. I do wear a lot of hats, but they're all kind of serving the same purpose. And I think that's what really matters to me is like I help people elevate their personal brands. And there's lots of different ways to do that. And I kind of do all of them. Or at least I know someone who can help you with that. My husband likes to say that I am a professional middleman because I love to connect people to the resources and other human beings that they need to reach their goals. So, a little bit about me. I was a middle school history teacher for 7 years. I was in education for about 13 years. And I decided that I was just a little bit too bougie for the amount of pay that I was getting as an educator. I loved educating and I loved, I love students and I love learning and I love books. I just like love everything about education. I realized that in my early 30s as a single woman, I couldn't live the life and lifestyle that I wanted if I was going to wait on a 3% raise every single year. And that was it. I had my master's degree. I did all the things that you're supposed to do I guess I still have my master's degree. But I got my master's degree so I could earn more money. And I realized that it just wasn't going to cut it because I wanted to live in a certain neighborhood and I wanted to travel when I wanted to travel and I wanted to invest in real estate. And I just didn't have the income to allow myself to do all of those things. And what I realized is I was actually in a position where I was coaching teachers. And as I was coaching teachers, I thought, I think I could take this skill of backwards planning, the skill of getting really clear on your goals and making action plans to achieve them. I think I can make that into a business. I bet you I could use all these same frameworks and help other people achieve their goals, not just teachers. And I started doing that on the side, and I was very naive at the time, but I thought, I bet I can make this happen. And so I left my job in education as a single woman, living on my own, and I said, I'm gonna take this really seriously and I'm gonna work for myself. And the first year was amazing. I matched my income as an educator. I worked less. I was like, this is golden. I love it. Then year two came around. And this might be where some of you are right now. Maybe it's not year two, but you might be having this feeling where it's like, oh crap, crickets. No one is knocking down my door to work with me anymore. All the people who knew me already hired me last year. And I didn't really have any pipeline in place. I didn't have a way of attracting clients. And so I did what any entrepreneur does. And you get your credit card out and you swipe it for the last time because there's no more space on that thing. I swiped my credit card for the last time and I worked with a coach. And this was the turning point in my business because I hired a coach who can help me use Facebook to bring in leads. That's like the premise. That's why I hired her. And we hopped on our first call and she was like, okay, Candice, we're working together for the next 6 months. This is what I want you to do. I want you to go on Facebook Live every day for the next 6 months. I was like, wait, that's what I swiped my credit card for the last time for you to tell me to go live on Facebook? What am I going to talk about? What am I going to do? She's like, well, talk about what you talk about with your clients on Facebook. I'm like, okay, well, what's the framework? Is there like an intro? Is there an outro? Is like, what's the script? She said, well, you know what you do with your clients, Candice. Take those same conversations and put them on Facebook. And I was annoyed, to be honest. I was like, this is what I paid all this money for. And then I was thinking, well, I'm gonna have to move back with my parents if I don't figure this out. And they already told me not to leave my job. So this is gonna be real embarrassing if I don't figure this out this year. So I decided I'm just gonna do what she told me. I paid for this, right? So I ended up going live 137 times in 180 days, and my life and business changed forever. And at that moment, I decided I need to teach people this thing. I need to teach people how to leverage content to call in the exact right people, because what happened in those 180 days is my confidence grew, my clarity grew. People sought me out. People said, "Oh my gosh, Candice, can you talk about this tomorrow?" And they gave me the content and the ideas and what they needed. And people are always like, "Oh, did your life and business change because you made $1 million?" Not that year, but what happened was I gained the ability to show up for myself and be consistent and realize that if I just share my gifts in front of people, someone, many people really, will reach out to me and I could stop chasing and start attracting. And that was really the beginning of me understanding that anyone can access this, and I just need to share it, shout it from the mountaintops, as Ryan likes to say, because it's so powerful. And my life and business did change forever. And I went on to, have a business that is bigger than my wildest dreams. To be honest, I never could have imagined where I'd end up when I was an educator, right? But it all changed because I decided to show up for myself. And that's basically why I'm here. It also led me to um, create content consistently, which eventually connected me with Ryan Serhant from, I used to say from Million Dollar Listing, but now I guess I say from Owning Manhattan. If you guys haven't binged that, you should. I was able to connect with Ryan's team on Clubhouse back in the day, and they were able to look at my content and say, "Oh, she's the exact right person that we're looking for, because we're looking for someone who helps real estate agents build their personal brands, and real estate agents at Serhant need to build their personal brands." So Candice is the one. That was 3 years ago in August. So that's been incredible. And it only happened because of content.
That's amazing. I did not, I didn't know all those aspects of your journey. I used to also be a teacher, so I was
Ah,
coaching
I love that.
teachers on
You
how
were
to, yeah,
amazing.
instructional coach for a while. So I was like, I relate to also have a master's degree and not getting anywhere in the amount of work.
Right.
Um,
I'm like, can
but
I get a refund on this thing, or
I
what's going
know.
on?
But yeah, someone else, Holly's also a teacher in there. So
I love that, Holly. I think there's so many skills that educators have that are definitely transferable to real estate.
it's all humans dealing with emotions and people.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that you're saying like to show up consistently, because I do think that is like the first step. And as over time, showing up on video, you do build that confidence and everything. But I know there's a lot of people in here that also are probably feeling like, okay, I'm showing up, like I'm posting, I'm doing all these things, but maybe there's like a disconnect where I'm not seeing the business and the, things happening. So I kind of wanted to talk about like what are some things that you see agents that maybe they think they're doing this really well, but there's some mistakes where you could say, okay, if you change this or something, this is where there's that disconnect of I'm posting, but I'm not getting anything out of it yet.
Yes, the most obvious one for me is agents who are posting, but they're posting those Canva graphics that say just listed, just sold, under contract. There's no context, there's no storyline. I don't know who you are, I don't know what skills you have. And honestly, I don't give a shit that something's under contract. That doesn't impact me in the way that you're presenting it, right? Now, maybe this is a true story. Next door, our neighbor, um, my husband is so nosy. He was just like, they're taking pictures of the house. I bet you they're listing it. 2 days later, the sign's in the yard. So they are listing their house. So when under contract would make sense for me, when I would be interested, is I want to know how much the house sold for, because that obviously gives me some insight as to the value of my own house. But if that agent just posts under contract, I'm just like, okay, doesn't mean anything to me. But if the agent posts like, "Hey, in Royal Paw Ranch, this house just went under contract for a record-breaking XYZ. If you're thinking about selling a house right now might be a time to consider what's actually going on. And then like that agent is talking to me and they're speaking my language. And if you haven't had a house valuation in X amount of years, might not right now might be a great time to just take a peek, right? I might be like, yeah, Jason, who I only know because I see his signs in my neighborhood all the time. Be like, yeah, Jason, come over. Let's just chat about what this could look like. And I would feel like it's not threatening, like he's super helpful because he gave me context. He didn't just say under contract.
No, I love that. I actually at some point also hired a coach to help me when I started with Instagram, and I was guilty. Like this was before video, so I give myself some grace there. And I had been told to post all these things, you know, the little just sold. So that was what my Instagram looked like in 2019 or so. It was just all this like just sold, just listed.
Yeah, we all
And
started there.
yeah, and like we were told to do that, and I'm like, okay, and I was all proud because it looked pretty, and I made it, you know, colorful and had little patterns and stuff. And I hired an Instagram influencer, and she came back and told me that my page was very self-centered. And
Mm,
because I asked her, I was like, you know, would you hire me? And she's like, I don't really know anything about you and whatever. And she's like, your page, it looks like every other agent, and it's very self-centered. And it like really cut me because I'm like, I'm not a self-centered person. But she's like, I don't care. Like every agent sells houses. That's your job, whatever. Like, you know, she's like, it's not client focused. And so that was like a huge takeaway for me is to not post. I mean, like instead of just sold, like tell a story about either
yes.
how we did it, the family that moved, they were worried about the market, but we got this is what happened. Look what they're getting next. And, you know,
Yes.
making it more relatable about the families instead of like, did another sale, got another transaction. It's more like agent focused. So I think that's huge when you said put context and tell stories for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think people miss out on is people think that real estate is about selling houses, and ironically, that's such the smallest it's like the smallest part of real estate, right? What it's about is helping people accomplish their goals, reach their dreams, take the next right step in their life. And or maybe they're going through a hard time and they're just trying to like clean things up, make things easier on themselves. And so much of it is about that. And so much of what I see online is, how much something is listed for.
Mhm. What else aside from like the Canva with no context,
Yeah.
no, how else? I mean, you were also, you talk a lot about helping someone find a personal brand. Kind of
Yeah.
define that a little bit more, what you mean by that.
My favorite definition of personal branding is by Rory Vaden. He hosts a group called Brand Builders Group. And he says that your personal brand is the digitization of your reputation.
I love that.
I love that definition so much because we all are familiar what a reputation is. You know, your parents and your teachers told you to protect your reputation at all costs, like it matters to you. So you know what that is. But is your reputation digitized? If I Googled your name right now, would I find content that positions you as the expert, as a leader in your community, as someone that people know, like, and trust? Is it easy for me to find articles that you've written, videos that you've created, awards that you've won, testimonials from clients? Is that easy for me to find about you? And for most people, the answer is no. For most people, I can Google your name and you're gonna have profiles with, that little human outline on realtor.com. It's like not even a photo. It's just like that gray little box with a icon of a human because your photo's not even there. Maybe it's your old brokerage information. It's not your right phone number. Like all of these things, like you need to be able to digitize your reputation and kind of own that reputation in the online space and make it really easy for someone to be like, hell yes, I want to work with her. If you Google me, you're going to see me talking about branding, marketing, social media over and over again. I'm going to be featured in webinars with people like Shannon, with people all around the country. And you're going to see podcast episodes of me hosting my own podcast, but me on other people's podcasts. And that's going to, in your mind, solidify me as an expert. Are those things something that you will find online if you Googled your name? And I think that most people just don't even think about that because they're busy in the day to day with their clients. And I love that for you. And I hope you're an excellent realtor. But if you're only dealing with one human being or whatever, 10 human beings a day, I'm dealing with potentially thousands because I show up on Instagram. I'm dealing with thousands because I have content that works for me while I'm sleeping. I have content that other people are watching of me right now while I'm live with you. Do you have that? And so if you don't, there are ways that you can get started that are super easy, that don't cost a lot of money, that only require your cell phone. And I feel like Instagram is an easy in to connect with people and actually get leads online and create content that you don't have to hire anyone for right now.
So what would you say? I 100% agree with what you're saying. I love that it's the digitization, that's a hard word to say, of your reputation. I think a lot of times people think of branding as your company, it's whatever company you work for, but it's like people don't care what company. I've switched. I'm now on my third company, and no one cares where I'm
No one
at.
cares.
They're just hiring me because they, it's like the reputation they heard about me or whatever. So, I think that's key. So for someone that's like, okay, maybe you haven't been doing that. You've been doing more of the pre-canned graphic stuff that your
Yeah.
company's providing you and stuff. What are some of those easy steps that you were mentioning that are
Yep.
low budget just to kind of get your brand out there?
Super easy is be inside of your Instagram stories every day for 1 to 2 minutes. 1 to 2 minutes, letting people know what you're up to. One of the blocks that people have is they feel like they have to create content. What if we just took creation off the table? Don't worry about the word create. What if we just said, how about you document? Gary Vee talks about documenting. Document what you're doing. So you're on this webinar, great, take a picture. Had a great time with Shannon and Candice today, learned all about social media marketing. You'll be seeing a lot more of me. Put that on your Instagram story. It's really that simple. Then people are like, oh, that's so cool. I was on a webinar with Candice too. I learned this. Now you're starting conversations with people. And one thing that Ryan always says is that the more conversations you have, the more money you'll make. And I absolutely believe that, right? And that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to give them something to talk about. And 1 to 2 minutes in your Instagram story will go far. Now, it's the same kind of thing though. You can't just put that just listed graphic. You don't make one graphic. You don't have to make anything. Use your phone, turn it around so you can see your face on that camera and say, hey, going to 3 showings today. I'm going to show you a little bit of behind the scenes when I'm there. Cool. Let them know that you're booked and busy. If you're not yet booked and busy, ask a friend if you can go to their listing and take some photos. Ask your friend if they mind if you post about their listing on your story. Most people will be like, yeah, please share my listing. We're trying to get this thing sold, right? So put yourself in situations where you can create content. If you're at home and you're getting a closing gift together or you're going to Home Goods to make that closing gift basket, great. Tell us you're there. What are you getting? Do you always put a candle in there? Do you do a cutting board? Like what do you like to put in there? Why? Do you personalize it for every client? Like just tell me what you're doing. That is the first thing, the easiest thing that you can do to begin to build some credibility and authority in your community.
I love that. How many, drop a one if you feel like that's easy enough that you can all start doing that. Drop a one in the chat. What I like about stories is also they disappear. So if you're really like, oh, I don't want to be on camera, just be on camera. It's going to disappear in 24 hours anyways. I do some of the things that you suggested. Like I do show, if we're out with a house, like touring houses, I might be like, oh, I'm meeting a family in Dripping Springs and just kind of snap some little pictures. Sometimes it's not all video, but it's just like, I'm going
Doesn't
to show
have
you
to
my
be.
favorite house.
Yeah.
If you don't have clients, just be like, hey, I'm looking for the best home, in this area. I'm going to show you my favorites. I do a lot of new construction, but you can also do a lot of like non-real estate stuff, which gets a lot more human. Like I'll show my animals. My story right now is I saved a turtle off the side of a road in my neighborhood that was like all lost in this construction area, and I put him back in a pond, and I got like tons of, likes and, whatever just from that. So it doesn't have to be like, oh, I got to be doing real estate every day. Just put like
No.
whatever kids, or
Yeah,
whatever.
you're hanging out at the pool today. Great. Cool. It literally doesn't matter what you are talking about. You do just want to make sure that you are talking about real estate and your life, both of those things. And you can even ask a question like, oh my gosh, I saw the dreamiest backyard today. Is this your vibe or not? Ask them a question. Ask your audience a question. Show them the backyard. They can be like, yes, that's my vibe. No, that's not. And then you can be like, really? What's your vibe? Send me a photo of your backyard. Now we're just having that easy interaction that's not threatening because I'm not yet asking them to buy a house, but I might one day
Yeah. Heather asked, she's like, okay, that sounds easy, but like, why would anyone care what's the value of that? Like, why would anyone care what you're doing throughout the day?
because people are inherently nosy. And
That's a
you and
honest.
and you guys want to make it more complicated than that. I'll tell you a quick story that I think is so perfect for this. So my sister-in-law, we have a unique situation because we were neighbors growing up and we've like I call her my sister because I've known her since we were 9. Okay. So she just had a baby, but she was pregnant at the time and I hadn't talked to her for 3 weeks. So in like pregnancy terms, 3 weeks is like forever, right? And so she finally calls me and she's like, "Where have you been? Like, you haven't checked on me. Like, what's going on?" I'm like, "Oh, sorry, traveling, busy, whatever. How you doing?" She's like, "Fine, but this is funny." She's like, "My mom, I was complaining to my mom, her mom, not mine." She's like, "I was complaining to my mom about how you haven't talked to me." And my mom said, "Oh, well, she just got back from New York and, she's going to Cabo and she just like went shopping and got some new outfits for this. And, she spoke at whatever, she spoke at this place." She's like giving her the rundown of my whole life in the last 3 weeks that my sister has apparently missed. And she's like, "Mom, when did you talk to Candice?" She's like, "Oh, I just watch her stories. I don't know. I haven't talked to her." But she gave her the entire rundown of everything that I've been doing. And you know what? She's not the only one. There are people who I haven't talked to in months who are saying my name in a room right now and acting like we've had a conversation just because they've been following my stories. They feel closer to me because they have insight into my life because I choose to create a space for them to see what's going on. And they're talking about me because I created content. And that can be you too. And it could be something as simple as, oh my gosh, Shannon has the same exact coffee order as me. And now I think about her every time I order coffee. We're giving them something to talk about. It makes them feel closer to you. They're creating what's called a parasocial relationship. It's just like how you watch a reality TV show and you know which one of those people would you'd actually be friends with in real life, or you feel like they're your friends or you're rooting for them. It's that same kind of vibe.
I love that. Um, so aside from stories, I do think that's like the easiest place to start for
I'll give
sure.
one really super easy story tip. You can either do this with a photo of yourself or a video. Either one works. Sometimes I like take a video of me walking my dog and then I just write text on the screen of what I'm doing today. So I'd say, morning Instagram with normal people. And then I would tag Shannon because guess what? She'd likely share that. Now I'm in front of her audience. I would be like, consultation, graphic design review. I would just lay out what I'm doing, walk with the hubs. That's it. Just letting people know what I'm doing and then tagging people if it's appropriate. And that's going to allow me more reach and just give people that insight as to what's going on. So I call it your daily agenda on your Instagram story. It's so simple.
I love that too, that it doesn't even have to be a video. It's just like, well, I've done that before where it's just like take a selfie in the car and it's like,
Yep.
okay, on my way to a listing appointment, whatever. And um I do think people are watching though, like, like I'll have people like, oh man, you've been busy lately. And I'm like, how do you know? But it's
Yeah.
just following that. I'm
Yeah.
building a pool in my backyard and I can't tell you how many
Oh,
are watching the journey. Where's your pool at? What's the stage and stuff? Because it's been like a slow 3-month process, and I take a picture every so often. Um,
yeah.
and so it seems like nothing, but I've had neighbors ask me about like pool referrals. I mean, just all kinds of stuff that's not really exactly real estate related, but people just watching, like you said, the journey. And it just makes you human and
And
relatable.
and those people who are like, "Hey, do you have referrals for the pool?" or, those types of questions, when you're engaging in those types of conversations, you're building trust with that audience. And then one day when they're ready to buy or sell a house, they're going to be like, "Oh, Shannon helped me with these other things. I could probably ask her about this too."
Yeah, for sure. So aside from stories, let's talk about like posting.
Yeah.
What other big mistakes do you see when people are like, okay, I'm going to show up on video and actually put videos in the feed? What are some mistakes and simple suggestions?
People think it's like all or nothing. They watch people who've been creating content for 5 and 10 years and they're like, "Well, I want it to be pro like that. I want the drone footage. I want the editing. I want, the little pop-up light bulb, and I don't know how to do that. So therefore, I'm just not going to do it." And you don't need any of that. You can literally just edit it yourself right now. You might not love it, but that's okay. Progress over perfection. And everyone says this, but you can't compare your day 1 to someone else's, day 7,000, whatever. So I think that people are blaming not showing up on, perfectionism or I need to hire a crew and it costs $3,000 a month. And while you might one day, you don't right now. And so I think that's a major thing that holds people back. You can literally put your phone on a tripod, you can hold it up and record yourself, like, it doesn't have to be complicated, and I just would suggest 2 times a week if you're not consistent at all on Instagram right now. If you can just post 2 times a week and do 1 video and 1 photo or carousel, that's enough for you to drastically increase your engagement if you're not doing anything right now. And I think people think like I have to post every day, and once you miss a day, you don't start again until 3 months later, and that's just not gonna help you. I see John raised his hand. I don't mind answering a question.
Oh, sorry, John, go ahead.
Hey, yeah, I appreciate it. So, now Bam, X, all those guys really kind of want us to do stories and carousels and posts and all the green screens and all that stuff. Um, my carousels, my posts have like no interaction. And then my reels get all the interaction. So is it important to keep, doing things like carousels if they get 37 views and reels get a few thousand? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it is if it's positioning you as an expert, and I'll I'll share a story. So I posted something that got really low engagement, maybe 1 comment, maybe 10 likes, and I'm like, "Oof, I teach this, and that's a little bit embarrassing." And I almost thought about taking it down. But I ended up booking 2 clients from it because the right person, it was the right content for the right person, and it was actually content about design work. Um, and so it didn't have a lot of engagement, but the right people saw it and said, "Yeah, hey Candice, I want help with that." And so I don't equate views with success. I always look at the dollars in my bank account. Where I that's what matters.
And I would also add to that as well, like I do stories. Like I said, I don't do the just sold, but I will tell like, oh, this is how we did it. Those don't go viral. They're not shared. They may have 50 or 60 likes on them. But those are the ones that help me get referrals because I get a lot of referrals from Instagram from other agents. And there's like, I see that you're selling houses where like maybe other agents on Instagram or in Austin are talking about how it's hard to sell a house right now. And I'm
Yeah.
like, how we did it. Here's how we did it. And those are the ones that don't go, like I said, they're not viral. I also try to do like buyer stories where I could tag the client in the video because they share it, and the people that follow me back are like their mom, their sister, the other people that might be relocating to Austin. So sometimes it's your small posts that generate the business because it's like, very specific, but the funny, I do a lot of realtor humor. Those are the ones that get shared and viral and whatever, but it's, I wouldn't judge it off views as well.
A couple months ago, I had someone book a consultation with me, and when I was looking at her Instagram, I was like, "Hmm, interesting. She booked a consultation with me, but she has 200,000 followers, and she has, many reels with millions of views." And so when she hopped on, I was like, "Hey, like, looks like you have a lot of followers, you have a lot of views. Like, why did you book this consultation with me?" She said, "I've got 0 leads from Instagram." And it's because the type of content she was posting is, drone footage, beautifully, like highly edited home tours. They were beautiful, like what Glenda Baker is called house porn, right? Like beautiful. People want to watch it, but no one sees her as an expert. We don't see her face ever. We don't know any stories. We just see a bunch of pretty houses. And if we want to look at pretty houses, we might as well go on Zillow. The point of your Instagram is to build that connection and start the conversation, and pretty houses aren't going to cut it.
Right.
And so I just thought it was interesting because I have clients with less than 500 followers who've gotten leads on Instagram versus she has 200,000 and she's never got a lead on Instagram.
So what else would you add to it? So, it's the consistency you said, showing up in your stories and just being human, like telling people what you do with real estate for your job, but also personal life, being consistent, posting at least twice a week. What else is going to help someone bridge that gap of, okay, I'm doing these things, but still, how am I getting these conversations or getting, stuff
Yeah.
happening? I'm actually getting the lead.
Yeah. It's offering a piece of value to your audience. And so something like creating a lead magnet or freebie, those words are used interchangeably, to actually obtain someone's email address. So this could be a link in your bio. You can set up something like a mini chat, and you can make something like 5 reasons to move to Austin in 2024, or 5 of the best things about living in Austin in 2024, something like that. Someone would then look at that title and be like, "Ooh, I'm considering living in Austin. Let me download that thing." Now Shannon has their email address and she can market to them forever. And I think that there's a lot of value in making sure you have people's contact information. So asking them questions to kind of pull out the right people, even going on your story saying, "Hey, have you been thinking about moving out of state in 2024? What are the top states you're considering?" Oh, everyone who marked Austin, Texas, then is getting a DM from Shannon. And she's like saying, "Hey, what's your timeline like? Should we talk about this? Like, I'd love to hop on a call with you." Whatever. She's furthering the conversation, maybe then asking for an email address. The point is, you need to create some type of point of separation between your audience and people who might be interested in actually living in your market. So, a lead magnet is a great way to do that, or asking a question in your stories and then following up with those people individually might be it as well.
I think the follow-up is the key thing because
Oh gosh, it has to be.
yeah. I use stickers, and I've seen that too, where people are like, they put stickers in their stories, which is engaging. So it's like, what do you think of this home? And you have a little slider or whatever, or it's like, would you prefer this or that? And they vote. But go back and actually message those people and find out like what they liked best, where they living now, just simple casual conversations. And that's where I would say I get most of the leads is just from talking to people. Um,
Yes.
and the story stickers are huge, but if you do a little poll, just go back and vote. Even if they're like, no, I'm happy with where I'm at, or whatever, just like
Respond
that's,
to them.
yeah, just respond like, oh, that's so great, and find out where they are at, where they, what do they love about their home or whatever. I also do some random ones too about like my dogs and cats. Like people still like my pets. Everyone loves animals. So I might like put little things in there too, but just respond. All you're doing is just starting conversations and helping your account be more engaging. So. All right. Any last advice? Like what other big piece would you say are people
Oh,
missing?
I would say one of the big pieces of advice is collaborating.
Uh,
So if you know someone, Shannon, where do a lot of people move from to Austin? Where are they moving from?
California, and then also Houston and Dallas. We actually get
Oh,
more
really?
people, yeah, from
Okay,
Texas to Austin for work.
great. So something like calling up one of your friends in Houston, Dallas, or California and saying, "Hey, do you want to go live with me on Friday? I just want to talk about how people are moving from your community to my community. Demonstrate that you already have a partnership, that you too have helped people do this before. You're happy to continue to help people. Now their followers are introduced to Shannon. Shannon's followers are introduced to their audience, and they're positioning themselves as people who have helped people navigate this many times before. And you're building trust and you're sharing audiences. So I think any type of collaborations, I think live is like the easiest collaboration because you just literally push go live. You can be anywhere and do it. But that's going to really help you tagging people in stories. Um, people always forget to do this, but if you go to an event, take a picture with the host, take a picture with the speaker, and tag them. Say what you learned from them. That is one of the biggest compliments to me, and you can do this for me today, as a matter of fact. Um, Take a picture and say, hey, was on this, I learned X, Y, and Z. Now I have an asset that I can share. And same with an event host. If they have an asset they can share and you said something nice about them, once again, they're human beings. People love to be complimented, right? People love to know that the energy that they put into the event actually landed with you. Like it makes sense for you. You got something out of it. So if you do that, to me, that's kind of a collaboration because now they're likely going to share that and you're going to be in front of the other person's audience. Always authentically, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love I'm not great at going live. I need to start doing more of those. Kat says that she has everyone moving from San Francisco, and I'm like, y'all are Silicon Valley, we're Silicon Hills out in Austin. So I'm like, let's go live together. But yeah, I've done some with, like I said, I've always tried to go do collabs with my clients, which I highly recommend if they're
Yeah.
on Instagram, or if they have like a small business, just ask them, hey, do you have a business page or whatever? And just share like some of their posts to your stories, or like do a little pop by or something like that. And it just opens up where then they're posting you as well to their friends. And not just like, oh, here's my realtor, but it's like you're showing some love to their business or whatever it is, but it broadens you out. And then even with like agents, we just did a fun one. I have a lot of creative agents in our office here at Austin, but we did some stuff in like one of our listings, and it's like, okay, let's just brainstorm some ideas together. And we just shot a bunch of reels that day, and getting those published, but we can tag everyone as collaborators. So it even just shows like industry connectedness across the city and stuff.
Yes.
I think
That
that's,
matters so much.
yeah.
I think people undervalue being connected to other agents. For some people are like, Candice, oh, my only agents follow me. I'm like, great. I hope they see you win. Let them watch. Like, I love that, right? And I hope you guys partner. And you are more likely to get your offer accepted if the agent knows you already. Like, just
Yeah.
it's just true. It's just a fact. And if they feel like they've been following you, they feel like they know you as a human, you seem like a cool person, when that offer comes across, they're just going to be a little bit nicer. And why not give your clients that competitive edge?
All right. We got a bunch of hands
Let's
raised
do
now.
it. Let's answer the questions. Yeah.
All right. Let's Siobhan. What is your question?
Yeah, I was wondering if you have any tips on kind of like amping up the videos, because I feel like I make a lot of educational videos and I think that that's what people like about me, but they're not super creative and not super humorous. And I've never done anything like theater. And I think like sometimes when you're on video, it needs to be more exciting than the way that you actually talk to people in person. So I was just wondering how you
Yeah.
do that in a way that still feels authentic to who you are.
Yeah. Two things. One, you always have to be yourself. And so if you're not funny, then that's okay. You don't have to be funny. I wouldn't just like go in a lane that doesn't feel like you. So that's number one. But the second thing is what really helped me is I became that really boring video person as well. I think everyone who starts video does this. It's like, hi, my name is Candice. I live in San Diego, California, right? And you're just like on a different talking cadence and you're just trying to be super formal. Um, and what I did was my coach told me this. She said, Candice, just talk to the camera like you're talking to your best friend. And then I just got relaxed because if I was talking to my best friend, I'd be like, girl, no, we're not doing it like that. And if I show up on a video like that, people think it's funny because they feel like they're talking to their friend. They feel more connected because I'm not like being stiff. I'm just like, hey girl, let's do it all differently. Let's rethink this whole thing. And now people are like, oh, I want to listen to that because I feel like I'm talking to my friend on the phone or on FaceTime instead of feeling like I'm, watching a lecture. So if you can just imagine that your best friend is on the other side of that camera and you need to deliver this real estate information to your best friend, you'd probably just do it a little bit more casually and you'd probably sound more like yourself and you'd probably move your hands more like yourself and you'd make the faces you make when you're talking to your friend. and that's going to come across to your audience. That was the biggest help for me. And sometimes this is a weird trick, but it worked for me. Sometimes I would say her name at the beginning of the video. I'd be like, hey, Core, her name's Corey. So I'd be like, hey, Core. And then I just cut that out later. But in the beginning, if I said, hey, Core, I, in my mind, knew who I was talking to.
I love that. All right. Andrew, you have your hand raised.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, quick question for you. So stories are only there for 24 hours and then they're
Yes.
gone. And they only show up to your followers, people like that.
So kind of weird with stories. Yes, mostly, but every once in a while, like you get like 5 non-followers watching your story. I don't know how that works. But mostly, yes, you're nurturing the audience you already have with your stories.
Okay. And in Reels, people could actually search for, or is it like an algorithm like YouTube where it's like, hey, we know you're looking at this other stuff. You may like this too.
Yep. So
So,
definitely being shown to more people than just your audience.
okay.
And yes, everything that you put on Instagram, your text on screen, the words you say, the location you record at is data taken by Instagram to help them show your video to the right audience. So that's something that's really important because before people used to be able to find you like only by hashtags. That's kind of how you would file. Now, the words that you're saying, Instagram knows. The text you're putting on your screen, Instagram knows. So I would be doing a lot of location type text if I'm a realtor. Um, and I would be considering how often am I even saying the name of your market? That's super important. Am I writing the name of my market or am I just saying when you buy and sell a house and making it super generic? Because that might not land in the front of the audience you want it to land in. So similar to YouTube, not as robust as YouTube, but SEO is taken into consideration.
And so do you ever do like the same, let's say like a model tour as a story and as a reel? Or do you like, no, this stuff is strictly stories, this stuff is strictly reels, or
I mean, if I was doing a model tour, I would just be like live spinning around in the house and be like, hey, I'm in Las Vegas today and we're checking out homes in Summerlin. We're looking at this price point. Have you guys been up here yet? I don't know, just ask a question and start a conversation. That would be my home tour in my story, super casual. And it would be a longer, more robust, better edited video in my reels.
gotcha. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, let's go to John.
Hi,
Hey,
John.
okay. Yeah, I just wanted to share with the agents really quickly. So like 2.5 months ago, my Instagram was terrible. I was sharing my TikTok videos to my Instagram reels. It was like a nightmare, right? It's exactly what you don't want to do. So I'm going to just post a link here if you guys want to look at a collaboration. My friends own a wine and cheese store in town here. So I did an open house. I used their charcuterie boards and their food for my open house, and I just did a collaboration with them. So if you're looking to get like an idea of what you can do for a collaboration with like a local business, you can watch that video. Swear I'm not doing it for views. This is an example of what you can do. And I've definitely changed up my Instagram and focused a little bit more on collaborating with smaller businesses. And it really helps generate eyes and views on it. And if anyone can change and flip their Instagram around from looking like like my old TikTok, you can do it if I can. So I just wanted to share that.
Thanks for sharing that, John. I love it. Can I ask you this? Did you have them in your video at all, like the owner, or just their spread that
So
you got for them?
I had they like their store is in the video.
Yep.
They probably could have been, they weren't at the store together at the same time. Like I could have had them probably waving. That would have been great if they were outside the exterior of the store. But that video just showcases it's 20 seconds long, it's super
Yep.
quick, the cuts are really fast.
Yep.
And it's all about, I use Chat GPT. I looked up their about section and had Chat GPT write me like a 2-paragraph Instagram post with all this information, and it did it. And I created just a little, voiceover with Chat GPT, and then went into their store, showcased their store, brought it back to my open house, and then it was done in 20 seconds. So
I love that. And the reason I asked you is because a lot of times people, not you, John, but some people like to pawn off being in front of video on the business owners. They're like, Candice, I'm just going to interview small business owners. Guess what? Small business owners probably suck on video. You don't want them on your video. So Instead, tell their story, share their product, share why you love them, which sounds like exactly what you did. Share how you used it at your open house. I love all of that. And you're still the one with the thoughts, the ideas, the story, and people are still making the connection to you. So I love that you're not just pawning it off on them. I do like the idea of them waving in front of their store, still not talking, right? Because you're going to find that small business owners just like you are afraid of being on camera, and it often doesn't go well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it was really fun.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I love that idea. Thanks for sharing it. He dropped the link in there if anyone wants to go click it later. Jennifer, you have a
Hi,
question?
Jennifer. How you doing?
Hey, girl, it's been a minute.
I know. Great to see you.
Thank you so much for showing up and
For
playing
sure.
with us today. Greatly appreciated. Wondering now on the forefront of what's going on with Instagram and sharing and all the things, I'm hearing that getting on ahead of time, making other comments, doing things will help get your message out to more. Is that the space now? And SEO is moved, like hashtags are down what is the thing? Like, I don't have a huge database in Austin. I'm not well known. So I'm looking to build and digitize the
Yeah.
brand as Jennifer. Any recommendations on how to get seen by more people?
Instagram just wants people on the app. You have to remember that. So I don't like to give you guys like all these hacks, or you have to be on for 10 minutes and then 10 minutes before and 10 minutes after, and like that's not real. The real thing is this. Instagram wants engaged users. It wants the creator to be an engaged user, and it wants their audience to be engaged users. So if you are an engaged user, that means you probably watch other people's stories, you like, you comment, when you see a reel that you like, you maybe share it with a friend. So just naturally commit to being an engaged user. Don't be that person who posts and then doesn't open the app for 5 days, and then posts and then doesn't open the app for 3 days, right? That's not going to get you the following that you want, because ultimately there's just other human beings on the other side of that screen, and every human being wants to feel seen, heard, and valued. And Instagram wants you to those things in front of people. That's it. So you don't have to make it more complicated than just human beings and relationships.
I love that as well. I will say I have heard other Instagram experts where they're like, the same thing, get on there 20 minutes, whatever, prime your post, do all this stuff. It's sometimes great if I have time to do that, but then I've also talked myself out of not posting because I'm like, oh, I
Because
don't
you
have
haven't done that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, I don't have time, or post at this time. It is the right
Yes.
time to get your video. And then it's like, well, I came up with this idea at 2 p.m. Well, darn it, it should have been 10 a.m. And then I'm like, well, I'll just post it tomorrow. And then at that point, I like talk myself out of maybe this wasn't a good idea. So I kind
Yeah.
of ignore the algorithm. And I love what you just said. Just focus on being an engaged user and show some love back to your audience, and like just naturally talk to people and don't get so technical, because it kills creativity and joy is how I feel.
Yes, absolutely. And like that goes for all of the technical questions that you have right now. What's the ideal post time? Like those are questions I get all the time. What hashtags do I use to get the most reach? And honestly, where you are in your journey, that's a normal question to ask, but it's not the right question. The right question is, how do I start conversations with people? What do people want to know about? You know, and I don't care about post times. I have a whole course on Instagram, and I tell my people, I don't care what time you post. I just want you to do it consistently. Um, because I think those little rules that we make up in our mind keep us from authentically showing up and sharing our message.
100%. All right. Any other questions that you guys have for Candice? Trying to see if someone else had asked about TikTok. I know we're focused on Instagram, but they just don't have
Yeah.
it.
I mean, I like to say everything works and nothing doesn't. I mean, yeah, TikTok can absolutely work. LinkedIn works. YouTube works. Facebook works. Cold calling works. Door knocking works. They all work. Are you consistently showing up for any of those things? And if you are that person who does door knock, does cold call, using something like Instagram will amplify the work that you're already doing. So, hey, just knocked, 50 doors in the neighborhood today. These are the biggest questions that I got. You can talk about that in your Instagram story. The biggest questions that I got are, is the market going to crash? And then answer it, right? So now, not just the 50 doors that you knocked, you probably talked to 12 people, but not just those 12 people that you actually had FaceTime with, but hundreds of people who are watching your story have the information and know what you're doing.
Love it. How do people connect with you if they want to learn more?
Best way to connect with me is in my Instagram DMs. Just say, hey, Candice, would love to talk. That's the best place to connect. I do have a course called the Content Lab where we dive deep in Instagram for 6 weeks. And I teach you 12 frameworks that you can use over and over again to show up on Instagram. And it's a safe space for new creators. It's for people with probably less than 2,000 followers who are really trying to build and grow and commit. So I love, if you can go to jointhecontentlab.com, that'll be oh, there you go. Yeah, that works. Um, this is, this is kind of my baby. It's the thing that I feel like most people don't have, those baby steps to showing up, having the conversations of like, hey, I'm still nervous on camera, or I don't know what button to push. We talk about all of that in the content lab, and I give you frameworks that you can use. So DMs are the best place to reach me. I also travel all the time. If you're going to a cool real estate conference, let me know about it. I might already be going. If I'm not already going, I might consider going. So I love chatting with my people.
All right. And I'm showing them
My Instagram. Oh yeah, give me a follow. Take a picture, tag in your Instagram story. That helps. But my DMs are open if you have questions and you want to ask me later. If something pops in your mind, feel free to pop in my DMs. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Um, like literally showing up and making content has changed my life. And I'm passionate about creating opportunities for it to change yours too, if that's what you want.
Thank you so much. I loved everything that you had to share. If this is also how you connect with me, I'm at the.mansion.team, and I host this webinar once a month. So it's always the second Tuesday of each month. But if we're not already connected, definitely reach out as well. And then to wrap up, just in the chat, if y'all can drop like, what is your biggest aha moment or takeaway or something that you're inspired to do after today? I always feel like that's the best part, is seeing, what people got out of this.
Yes, I love that. Thank you for dropping what you took away. That helps me to just continue to grow and get better. If there's questions I didn't answer, let me know. That gives me content ideas.
We're both teachers, so we like
Yes,
feedback.
exactly.
What
Feedback.
did you learn today?
Love it. Thank you guys so much for spending your time with us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Candice. And I still want to do the collab with Kat over in San Francisco. So we need to connect afterwards too.
Definitely.
Right, thank you so much. I will post the replay to this if you read, or if you participated. I'll also send you a link, but it's in Real Academy as well if you're in Real. But I will get the full recording and send it out to you in another week or so.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Candice.
Color.